Like one thing I found over my career is when you do a fill-in and follow someone, you're always judged against everyone that came before. Like my second job in comics was the first fill-in on The Losers at Vertigo, following Jock. And I came in with this like cartoony pit pen, working at size style. It was, I mean, you go look up these issues. It's bad. The reviewer just wrote, "Hello, Nick Dragotta. Goodbye, Nick Dragotta."
Oh my God.
Oh, that was mean.
No. Oh my God.
Yeah, but again, it's not even there. It's not necessarily a matter of quality. Sometimes that.
Well, this was definitely a little matter of quality too. It's like my second
Okay,
gig.
I was trying, Nick.
Yeah.
All right. You sucked in that book. All right.
This is the Inkpulp podcast.
Oh, nice way to start with a nice cough.
Great. nice sound effect, Matteo. Now you've got an intro and an outro.
Yeah. My usual cold. Just hoping for it to end.
I think
again.
Matteo's been sick for the entire life of the podcast at this point.
I think it's the podcast, man. Probably microbes on the microphone or
It's all
something.
that travel, dude. It's gotta be.
Well, now with the family, I'm not traveling that much. It's so fun because I still have people that you don't see a lot. You see them, every 2 years or so.
Yeah.
Every time they're like, "So any trip that you're gonna be doing and stuff?" Because they're used to the old version of me that was always,
Yeah,
everywhere.
It seemed like you were doing like every American show. I mean, I can't imagine. Yeah.
Absolutely. And but now, I'm not traveling that much. I'm just at home.
It's good, right?
It's good, but it's also not. Sometimes I would need some more, traveling and not thinking about work. Lately, it's been pretty hectic, but that's life. You know what I mean, Mr. Dragotta.
Yeah, I got 2 kids, monthly comics.
Yeah, let's talk about that. But let me first say welcome, everyone, to the Inkpulp podcast. Matteo and I are back with our good friend, special guest, Nick Dragotta, Nick, you're the hot artist right now. You're on the big book. I mean, you're on the big book, right?
Finally. Yeah, no one, we're talking about Absolute Batman, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it just, Scott Snyder called me out of the blue and had this idea for the Absolute Universe. And I think my first question was like, "Why are you calling me?"
And what did he say?
He's like, "I love the work." And he referenced a book called Ghost Cage that I wrote and drew with Caleb Gulner at Image. So he's just like, "I like that energy." And he's like, "I want this line to be different from, the normal DCU stuff." And like he said, like a more indie feel, which I don't know if that perfectly describes me, but he started laying out the ideas for what he wanted to do. And when he told me about Batman, I was like, "Dude, if you're writing that book, I will absolutely draw it. Like, I'll say yes right now." And he was like, "Really? I don't know if I'm writing it yet, blah, blah, blah." I was like, "You got to write it. You got to write it." Just because the ideas I thought were awesome. So, and that was like in 2024, 2023, maybe. Like, it was a while ago. And then it took a whole year before I actually started.
So when I saw you at the first OAX, was this already in motion at that time?
Yeah, dude, I think I had character designs then that I started showing people. And a few people were like, "That's not Batman. Like, what the fuck is this?" So it was definitely like a kind of like, man, what are we up to? But yeah, that was what, that was 2024. So I was in it deep back then. So
okay. Hey everybody, Matteo and I have some announcements we want to get to you. Some exciting stuff is going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Big news. You might have heard it on my social media, but I'm gonna say it here as well. So Nemesis Forever #1, issue #1, It's Nemesis Forever, the book that I've been working on over the past few months. It's been recently announced with Mark Miller, of course. Is the basically the final chapter of the whole Nemesis saga. And issue number 1 will be out in August 29th, and it's now available for pre-order. So just order your copy now. And also on other news, there's another book that I did with Mark in 2021 that I'm really proud of, which is King of Spies. Basically, Dark Horse is republishing it in a new version, which is the King of Spies Library Edition hardcover. And that's going to be out July 29th. So you can get that as well. And you have a nice dose of Matteo art.
Yeah, I gotta say, King of Spies is not only some of your best work, but it's some of the best comics work I've ever seen. So, if you don't have it, I have it, but I'm still gonna get this version of it too because it's so gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the approval stamp from Eric Canete as well.
Yeah,
which means like everything.
Yeah. Eric loved it.
Just for the fact alone that he hates everything I do, and this one he likes it. So, you should go and buy it.
Definitely.
Also, we have a few more announcements. Go ahead, Shawn.
So, guys, right now, I need anyone who hasn't gone to my pre-launch page for my Kickstarter and hit notify me now. And also today, I'm releasing my sketchbook for free, which also has a preview of the art book, which is what the Kickstarter is for. So hit the link below and check that out. And our last announcement is Matteo and I are making an appearance.
Yes, sir. We're gonna be in Dallas for the Fan Expo Dallas, May 30th to June 1st, I think.
Yep.
And we're gonna be tabling in Artist Alley, so you will be able to find us in Artist Alley. We haven't a specific table number assigned yet, but we'll let you know as soon as we can.
And we'll have some good free podcast and Inkpulp Live giveaways, so stop by. And I'm going to end this with something so exciting and so new. Matteo hasn't even seen this yet. Ready?
Oh, I love it. And now let's go back to the show. So did you discuss details about the story or Scott is doing all of it, by himself, or do you have a voice in that?
I feel like it's a total co-creation from both of us. I mean, like right from the beginning.
Oh, awesome.
Scott's initial idea was basically what hooked me was that his father was killed in a school shooting. So I was just like, whoa, that's going to be like, that's a definitely different, Batman of today. And, and that was like the hook for me. Like, I was like, wow, that feels pretty relevant. And like, if we could do this right, it could be really cool. And then, right from the jump, I think, Scott and I probably talk on the phone. Every day is probably an exaggeration, but it feels like every day. I don't even need scripts written on paper because we talk so much about it. It's in my head. And then I'm working off beat sheets, like kind of Marvel style. And yeah, dude, I'm contributing a bunch of ideas, and Scott's been like probably the most collaborative writer I've ever worked with. It's been an awesome experience. It feels like doing creator owned, with like DC's biggest character.
Yeah, that's kind of what I want to get into, because you had a good run with a book you created with Hickman, East of West. And, now it's like everyone's going from like the big two over to a more indie side of things. You're coming from the indie side of things and going over to a big two book. And I'm curious on your thought process there.
I think like all of that was probably just training ground. Like I feel like I learned to draw in that book. You can look at the early East to West to the end, and my drawing got exponentially better. And me and Jonathan, we kind of I always have this motto, like make the work easy, make it fun. So I don't want to work from full scripts. Like I don't want to try and get in a writer's head and essentially design around word balloons. I think a lot of, you know, comics tend to diverge. You've got the writer on one wavelength and the artist on another.
Totally.
And I'm like, dude, if we're sitting with this for 8 to 12 hours a page or whatever, I mean, I would like it to be less, but let's be honest, when you're done scanning and all, like, I'm working back on paper now too, so it takes longer.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, let us dictate the visual storytelling. And when we're excited about what we have to draw on a page, we all know, like, it's going to be a better page, you know? And
yeah, absolutely.
I'll give you exactly what you need. I'm not going to stray from your plot. I'm going to stay within the guidelines you give me. But like, from A to B, let me play and let me add my own little moments. And I think like that's the way comics should be done, you know, in my opinion.
I mean, I agree. That's actually one of the big reasons I got away from working with writers, was because I was having the absolute opposite experience.
So, Nick,
go ahead, Matteo.
Oh, sorry. Did you want to finish? Or
No.
Okay, sorry. So I was thinking, though, in this case, like, there's a big element, which is the DC in between. So how do you manage? Because you just said you don't. You know, you don't even have a script, but does Scott still makes a script?
Oh yeah,
for DC
I have
to
scripts.
look at?
Like, yeah, I have like
okay.
So we talk so much about it. Like, that. My point is, we talk so much about it that, like, I know exactly where we're going. Like, I know where we're going for the next 10 issues of this book. We've talked so much about the storyline. So then, almost like the act of doing it is like, all right, now it's time to make sense of all these ideas we've cooked up. And Scott has, like, don't get me wrong, Scott has plotted it all out. And, you know, I have total faith in him for all these moments he's throwing in, the flashbacks, the emotional core, and all that stuff. Like, I rely on him for that. And then what's nice is, like, my point is, like, the visual storytelling, like, it's never like a panel for panel breakdown. It's not, it's like, and I love the writing too, and his dialogue. It's like a sketch of dialogue. Like, it's the core beat of that page, the emotional beat I know I need to hit, but it's not like panel 1, the character says this, panel 2, they say this. It's just almost like a novel. Like, I'm reading the scene and going, I got it. And then even then I could be like, Scott, I don't know if we need to say all this, or like write some really sweet poetry and all these extra panels I've added. You know, it's just like this really cool collaborative thing. Like, we're just super excited to make the book. Like, we're having a blast. I mean, I don't know. I hope it shows in the book. I don't know if you guys read it, but
yeah,
you know,
dude, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Matteo, have you read it?
Not yet. That's one of my plans. One of my many plans of other stuff that I want to do besides, you know, family and work. But it's my life is messy right now. But
because, like, I mean, like, Matteo, I read when you did, what was the book you did with Mark Miller, the last big one? There was that first issue. King of Spies.
King of Spies, I think, or Space Bandit. I don't know.
No, it's King of Spies. It was the first issue, dude. Your storytelling in that was like poetry. It was really, I was like, how is he doing this? So, like, my question to you is, like, was that full script, or was that you playing?
No. That's a full script. I think that, to be honest with you, I don't want to be too poetic or spiritual. But when I started working on that book, it's when when my girlfriend got pregnant, and I think something switched in me, and I started being more, I don't know, more, I don't even have the words to describe, but I'm more poignant when I do my work, and I'm more focused. I don't know if that makes sense, you know? Sure. And I'm more efficient. I don't know what happened in that moment. It's just like I realized I had to, you know, finally learn how to be really focused on what I'm doing, and that's it. Yeah. But yeah, I think Mark said something similar. Like he told me, like, I can tell that something you had a big change in your life because the way you're developing the pages is different. So it was really happy
But
that
like
as
my
well.
point is like I feel like it was a very seamless read. Like it was a really rhythmic action comic. Like, and it was just on top of like you're like this master level drawer, and then like now you're doing this like insane storytelling. Like, I mean, it's just like, to me that's the high point of stuff. I remember reading that issue. I remember I was right in my kitchen and I was like, Jesus Christ, this dude's on another level. So
Thanks, man.
yeah.
Thanks a lot.
But I mean, I read that and I'm like, how is he doing this? Like, I'm curious too of how it's getting to work. But
genuinely, I really follow the script, and to be honest with you, like Mark's scripts are really easy. They're and every time you receive the script from him, he's been working on it for months and months and months. So it's been the script has been refined, and all the fat is being cut off from the script. So it's everything's super clear, and it's really easy to work on them. The challenging part with Mark, and I've already said this probably in previous episodes, is that normally his stories are like, page 1 is in Japan, Tokyo. Page 2 is in wherever, in Myanmar, and then Italy. And then, so the challenging part is finding all the reference material.
Yeah.
Which is what's tiring me out now. Like I'm exhausted by looking at 75,000 different pictures and stuff online for reference. But other than that, it's really easy. The same thing I found working with Rick, especially because Rick worked in animation. So immediately when I read the script, I immediately knew what he wanted from the script, and it was super easy to work.
Yeah,
on
Rick's
them.
a visual guy. I think, like I would say I did before Absolute Batman, I did a book with Jason Aaron at Boom, and it was the same way. Like it was full script, and they were so tight and concise that I almost felt like trying to add a panel. I remember there was one scene where it was this big dramatic moment where like a character was giving up, and I'm like, I'll draw him falling to his knees now in desperation, and then I turned the page in the script and Jason Aaron's right, character falls to their knees, so I had to redo my thumbnail. Like, I mean, like, I think, we're talking about like probably the best writers in comics, Scott Snyder, Mark Miller, Jason Aaron,
absolutely.
Jonathan Hickman.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
these guys are masters. It's like Scott did something too with there's one of the issues, I forget, but he was like, we need an extra page here in the chase scene. And he was like, just let's show the Batmobile doing something. And this was like, the book was going to print that week. Oh, I was like, okay. But like, it's cool to be in a place now, Shawn, like going back to East to West, where like, you don't fear drawing a page a day. Like, it's just like, dude, it's just the job. And then like Matteo say, you just get your reference of like some big dump trucks, some Jeeps, and you just start cartooning the shit out of it and like just draw it, right? And then we put that into the sequence in the book, and like I'm like, God, Scott's instincts were right on. This is like such a better action sequence now by adding that page. And I think like younger me would have been like, fuck that, I'm not drawing a whole nother page this week. Like, we're done, it's going to print. Like, and now it's just kind of like you're just into it, and you don't fear the drawing. And that's where I feel like, I'm 50 years old. Shawn, me and you go way back to college.
I was going to talk about that. Yeah,
we used to fear laying down a line for wasting a piece of paper. So it's like,
yeah, totally.
Being over that is really liberating. So.
Yeah, and it's great to hear though the way you describe the way you work with Scott is that despite the fact that he's as big as the writer can be right now, like he's one of the biggest names in comics. Is still really open to have somebody, doing their own thing on their script, the way you're saying, like sometimes, you see the script and you're like, I think we can cut this part and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of writers that will take it really personally,
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
I think that's smart on Scott's part. I mean, I think coming into this industry where this is a visual medium, if you're going to be working with artists, you got to like be a contributor, not a controller, and work as a team. And I think like a smart writer is going to work that way. Unfortunately, I don't see a lot of that in comics. but it's good to hear. I mean, it's how it should be, I think.
Yeah, I think we've studied visuals and timing and what things work. And I mean, like, I wasn't always good at it. It's taken years to get here. And like, I think Hickman said it really poignantly once. He's like, I can think or see words like you can see lines. So he was like, what you go for, what you want to go for, and I'll write my story on top. And like, Hickman always was like, I would be like, John, I'm going to do this. He's like, oh, fine. John was always just like, get it done. And was just kind of like, he would always say stuff like, yeah, I'll save it if it doesn't work. It's all good. And you do realize that, like, a comic is really made in that final edit. Like, you draw it, and then you can write over top of it and really change the whole momentum or the read. So it's kind of like, it's all just the process, just getting it done and getting through it competently. But like, being passionate about what you're drawing, trying not to make it feel like a job, I guess.
Yeah.
Are you working like 5-day weeks now, or are you still like?
Dude, I think I work every day.
That's
it doesn't
what I was gonna
stop.
ask.
I mean, that's the shittiest thing is like, you Batman has perks, like Matteo, you've been doing this for a while. All of a sudden you're invited to every show all over the world, free ride, and I'm like, I can't go. And so like, and then far out, I was like, yes, I'm going to go to Italy. That's definitely going to go to Sicily. And now it's here, and I'm like, shit, I've got to probably work over that trip too. But
dude, that's I remember being in that position.
Oh, so you're able to bring work when you travel?
I prefer not to. I mean, I'd rather be drawing commissions and making money at the show, but if I'm on deadline, if I have to keep it going, I will.
So how long are you going to be staying in Italy overall? Because I know you're doing Napoli Comic-Con, the Naples show,
Matteo's
and
favorite.
Etna Comics, I suppose, right?
Yes,
In Catania?
Yeah.
Great shows.
So for Naples, I'm there just for the weekend, but I come like in Wednesday and leave that Monday. And then for Etna,
by the way, don't go to the train station in Naples. There's a whole podcast we did on my experience at the train station in Naples. It
Matteo
was like,
hates
it
Naples.
made me hate Naples for a second.
Well, dude, that's kind of how I'm getting around. I mean, like, but dude, then we come back on the 22nd. So I come home for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'm going back. We're flying into Rome. And I'm bringing, my brother, my father, my nephew, Ingrid, the 2 kids. We're going to go up to Florence. Then we're going to go back down to Naples. And then we're going to go to Palermo and then end in Catania. So
that's a great trip.
That's awesome,
You're gonna
man.
love
That's
it.
a great trip.
You're going to love
it's
it.
gonna be
Excited
nuts.
for you, man.
Yeah, it's going to be
Is
that's
that your
10 days. So
oh shit, it's a lot of traveling for that amount of days.
A lot.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you're going.
But some of it we're like
you're doing
flying
this
down.
in Italy. You're going like that.
No, we're going up and then going down.
Yeah.
So is that your first time in Italy? I suppose.
No,
right?
I was for where Shawn and I went to school. I did a study over there for like it was like a trip.
In Italy?
Yeah, we went to Italy. We went to Provence, France, and then we went along the coast and did Rome,
nice.
Rome and Florence, I think. Yeah.
Was that in the sequential art department that did that?
No, it was
or
art
that-
history. It was for art history.
Okay.
It was awesome. It was
that sounds amazing.
yeah, so you had the art history professors, and then this guy was the most incredible artist one of the most incredible artists I've ever met. His name was Ben. He was Shawn. He was the fashion illustrator at SCAD.
Yeah.
And in like the 50s or 60s, he was the guy that would sit on the runway and draw the sketches for the New York Times.
I remember this guy. Yeah.
Ben.
What was his name?
Ben something.
I
Dude, he
remember
was
this
so
guy.
awesome. So it was like just gallivanting around Rome with this guy drawing and just being like, his drawings were so unreal. I mean,
Oh, that's
awesome.
amazing.
So
Yeah.
So
This
any
Savannah
other
days.
big shows you've been invited worldwide?
dude, all of them. And I had to say no. I mean, there's one in Paris I think I'm going to do in October, I think. And then Brazil. I'm going to go see Frank Martin Jr., the colorist on our book, who's like my partner in this whole thing. Like I
he's in
think
Brazil?
he's my finisher on the book. So
you know what you should do when your work on Absolute Batman is over, then you'll take a world tour. Like you say yes to everyone, and you basically stay abroad for like 7 months.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the dream is to ride this train and continue to do this as long as I can. And hopefully by then the kids are out of the house, right? And then do what you're saying, just me and my wife Ingrid, just travel the world, do all these shows and enjoy it.
Yeah, and especially I'm thinking like if it goes like a long way, like you can leave off the royalties and stuff for
I don't know yet.
Amount of time.
It's interesting. I haven't seen the royalties yet, so those are coming like any day now. But you and I,
that
both,
first one's going to be big. I would imagine.
It should be. I mean, we were like the #1 selling book,
like huge numbers.
Oh, 5 months or something. You know, it's in its 6th or 7th printing. Dude, the book, I've never been a part of a book that sold this much, you know?
So both of you guys, I mean, Nick, we go way back to Savannah working in Xylenol Studios, flatting for Lee while we're doing sample pages, trying to get a career going. And I remember when we went out to Palm Springs for one of Rick's retreats he had, and you and I met at the airport and got a rental car. You were just about to start East of West, or you were working on it, and you were just talking about like you were living off credit cards, just like I just got to get over this hump and get to the other side. And at the same time, Matteo's starting Black Science around that time, and I was just like, both of you guys, like I was so like happy for you and so jealous. I was like, I want to be there, like right there where you're about to like get into this create your own thing. And now seeing like you've both just taken off, it's awesome to see. And Nick, to see like just to see you on this book now is crazy awesome.
Thanks, man.
It's good.
I mean, it's a little bit of luck. You know, I'm not one for comic advice because I feel like everyone's personal experience is like such their own, you know, like I blanket advice of like, do this, do that. You just got to put your ass in a chair and draw if you want to do this. But one piece of advice I can give is like a hit image book will change your life straight up. Oh yeah. You know, even an image book that sells 20,000 copies is going to pay out better than most freelance comic gigs for any publisher. So like I think every creator owes it to themselves to go do creator owned, and then I was just super fortunate and lucky.
We got a nice moment when
Matteo, you and I were in that rat race of Marvel, right? Where it was like, what? This isn't worth the money. You know, like it was like you'd make more doing commissions and the rat race of shows, and then you're on these Marvel books asking for raises. And back then I remember Marvel was kind of going through it. And the editor at the time was like, Nick, the new raise is just keeping your job. And I was like, I'm on the top. I'm with Hickman doing Fantastic Four or FF, you know, like following your top artists. Why can't I get these rates? You know, and it's always like, well, you gotta be here a little bit, you know, improve yourself. And you're always just like, you just kind of take it. And then Hickman was doing Manhattan Projects with Nick Pitara. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think they were selling like 20,000 copies. And back then you could equate each copy sold for $1, basically. Right. So 20,000 copies sold meant $20,000. And John was like, you know, we're doing really good. It's insane. Would you be interested in doing an image book? And he was like, I got this idea for a Western. And I was like, oh, God, I don't want to draw what I was so into sci-fi really? At the time. Oh. Yeah. And I said, John, I really want to draw a sci-fi. And he was like, you know, just typical Hickman. He's like, well, we'll merge it. We'll make it a sci-fi Western. I was like, okay. You know, and then that's how the book was born. Dude, that book came out and sold. God, what did it? Initially, I think we did something like 36,000 copies, right? Yeah. And then it went into like multiple printings after that. when it was all said and done, I think we got up to 70,000 or 60
Holy
something
shit.
high, the 60s or 70,000 copies. And getting a check from Image for like that month of like 35 grand. Like Matteo, you've been there, right? Like it's just
Yeah, Black Science #1 sold I think 55 or something.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to go through second printing. Like they already, Image was great at getting immediately how many copies we would sell. They told us it's going to be in between like 50 and 60, 70 tops. And we sold 55, around between 50 and 60. So, yeah.
And then I just remember like just being like car payment, school loans carrying from SCAD for over a decade paid. Like shit was just paid off, and then saving, and that saving eventually like put us into a home, you know? So it's like, Image probably maybe, you know, easily one of the best publishers in comics, and then every creator owes it to themselves to go do an Image book. And one, like, even if it's, you don't have the success, like, I think you learn so much about the business of comics and how the whole distribution model works, which it's always changing. Now it's changed definitely from when we were there, but I learned so much about just the business of comics too.
I was
and
ask
like
you about
your
that.
worth as a creator, like you're then like, oh, this is what these books make. I can make this, you know, and you kind of know. And then also, in fairness to like a Marvel or a DC, they have a lot of overhead, and it's a differently run company, and you're dealing with these legacy characters that. So now I kind of view it as like, you know, if you have an opportunity to, like I did, to go do Batman, I'm definitely going to take that, because no one really read Ghost Cage. That was like, that came and went. It was profitable and it was worth it. I loved doing the book, but the bummer was like, you know, I didn't think a lot of people saw it or read it. So that's where, you know, Marvel and DC, I think, are really great as giving you that exposure. And then I love working on Batman. It's fucking awesome. I mean, Dark Knight Returns, Batman Year One are like my favorite comics. So just to draw from that is pretty awesome.
But also, like, I'm thinking, when I think East or West, how many issues did you?
We went 46.
46. So really close to Black Science. So I when you reminded me of the money that I started seeing around more or less when the TPB number 4, 5 came out, and when they start like feeding from each other. So when TPB number 4 comes out, then you see a bump in TPB number 1, 2, and 3, and it all start, you know, the machine starts running at full speed, and you see those accruals. So basically, Images pays you for the single, you know, the floppies when they come out, and then at the end of March or September, they pay for everything else, like the second printing, TPBs, omnibus, whatever else they do. And you start seeing those numbers pile up. Like right now, it just 2 years ago, I think, or last year, we reprinted all 3 hardcovers and the compendium. And a few months ago, in September, we finally finished paying off all the printing costs. So now it's time again to see all the money from all the revenue from those books. And it's crazy. I was looking back at some of the accruals the other day, because I needed to make the math for a thing that I want to do. And I was like, dude, I even forgot that, you know, I was making that much money off of that book. It's pretty crazy.
It's I mean, and I remember like when East to West first came out, I was like at a show and ran into Robert Kirkman, and I was like, dude, this is changing my life. And he was like, dude, make sure you stay on it, stay on your monthly. And he was like, wait until the 3rd trade comes out and you see that accrual. And he was like, totally right, because there's these multiple revenue streams. So you got the monthly, then you have the trade, and then you collect it into the hardcover after your third trade. So you have all these different price points, and they all just start accumulating. And it was awesome. I mean, that was
Now, when you guys were doing these books, you were like part of this like wave that was happening. I mean, you were at the very front of that image wave that was happening, where creators were leaving like Marvel and DC to go do image books and making good money. Do you feel like it's changed since then?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's just it's kind of like what the opportunities on who you can work with creatively. Like I wanted to go write and draw. Mm-hmm. I would like to think, if me and Jonathan did another image book, it would do just as well, or if me and Scott did one. But, I wanted to write and draw. And then I definitely was open to the fact like, yeah, no one might read what I want to write. And, it was definitely off the beaten path too, but it was something I wanted to get out of my system and grow artistically and try. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, Shawn, it's weird because like now that I'm doing Batman and it's work for hire, it's just as good. Like, and like my excitement to do the book might be even more so than East to West. Like I'm just, at least maybe not early East to West, but Matteo, I mean, I think there was a point for me with East to West, like I was kind of like, I want to get off this book. Like, I feel like,
oh yeah. Definitely.
Like it's
around
just
issue number 30. I remember around issue number 30, I was like, because before that, me and Rick, we were just let's do this book and whatever the fuck happens, just have fun. And by issue number 30, I was like, you know what, Rick, let's start talking about an ending for this book because I've been working on it for like 5 years now. And, I need to see a finish line. And there's another thing that, before that, I just started, flourishing, let's say so, as an artist. Like I was starting to get the first important gigs. And that's what sparked, Black Science, because I was working with Rick on the Secret Avengers. And then after that, they gave me the Hulk. And then I decided to start working on Black Science. And in order to do that, I had to say no to a few things because Marvel had plans. So they wanted me on the Avengers, and I had to say no. So in my head, I started seeing all the other stuff, although I was super excited to work on Black Science and, seeing it selling so much, I was seeing all the missed opportunities as well, because I would see more and more important publishers and people asking me to work with them. So I started to say no. After 200 no's, I'm like, shit, do I have to keep saying no to everyone for the rest of my life? Like, I want to do something else, I'm super grateful for the experience. If I could back in time, I would do it 1,000 times over and over. But, at a certain point, it has to come to an end,
Yeah, and it's kind of like it goes back to, I think, also creatively. Like I feel like there was a point with East to West where like I think I've said all I had to say. I know the ending. Let's get there, and like also the readership is starting to taper, and by the end, like it's so interesting. Like going back to the money on it, like the end of the image book, like I think there is a point with an image book where you're like, all right, let's stop because the colorist was making more than me on the monthly. And I would have to wait every 6 months for my accrual, and the money was still great, so then you're working for trade. And, that's all part of the growth of it, of just to be like, all right, well now I'm going to get paid every 6 months on this. And, so that was all part of it too. Yeah.
But do you think, sorry, Shawn, just one last question. Do you think, like, because I hear some other artists that have done what we've done, meaning a long series, like around 50 issues or so. Would you do that again in the future? Because some people, again, some artists say, I'm glad I did it, but I don't want to do that anymore in my life. Would you
think if the story's there,
do it?
don't you? Yeah. I mean, East to West was pretty awesome as I look back. And I'm like we just did that all-in-one compendium. It's like a Bible. It's just, it's a fucking brick of comics. Yeah. And I look at this and I'm like, God damn, like I did that. You know, we did that shit. So yeah, and like the money was great. So why wouldn't I? But I guess also it's tough because then I'm like, as I was doing that, I was like, I really want to write and draw. And then you see, you know, you got your Daniel Warren Johnsons and your James Herons and like, you know, everyone's just kind of cranking on doing some shit that's their own thing. And I'm like, I want to try that too. So it's just like, but like, I guess creatively, like, man, this right now with Batman, I'd do this for 100 issues. Like if we can keep up this level of fun me and Scott are having, dude, I feel like I'm more mature, you know, like I'm less, the grass is greener where I might have been with East to West at times. And now I'm kind of like, yeah, this is a good thing. Let's ride this. Let's see where we can take it.
So both you guys seem like around issue 30, you hit that hump where you're like, we gotta get this wrapping up here. What did you do to help stay motivated to ride it to the end? Because I mean, you still had like another year and a half, 2 years after that of work.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was like it's your gig, you know?
Yeah.
So you just, you focus on that, but I'm trying to think back.
Did it become like work for you guys? Like, did it start to feel like work?
To me, I know what it was. It was the collaborativeness. Does that exist as a word?
Yeah, I got you.
With
for the sake of the podcast, because, sure.
Yeah. So with Rec, like, you know, you were describing the same thing with Scott and probably Jonathan. There was a lot of, you know, we would call each other, especially at the beginning of a new arc, and decide, okay, so what are we gonna make happen here in this arc? Where are we going with this arc? And I would have a voice in it. So just the fact alone that maybe I decided we're gonna kill this character here at this point. At issue number 3, this character's gonna die. The fact alone that I knew that I was gonna draw a sequence that I had a voice in, it would fuel me. And it will help me go through the book. Yeah.
Yeah, like Shawn, so I think too,
that's one
element. At 30, we knew the endings of our books. We knew where this was going. And we knew you can't rush it. I can't get through this in one arc. And then it's interesting because then you start to think of a moment, like in my image book, like East to West was like, we were always like, oh, 3 hardcovers would be really nice. Like, let's have 3 hardcovers. And so, yeah, I might have had 15 issues left, but I knew that's what I signed on for, you know, and then the story needed it. Like, we couldn't rush it. So I think that's like part of the motivator. And then like, also I was drawing what I wanted. Like I wasn't, you know, Jonathan had all the characters' motivations laid out and I knew, but it was never like, Nick, you have to draw them in the middle of a football game with 100,000 people behind them. And, you know, it was just always like, I could set them in a desert, you know, like I could just focus on figure drawing, the stuff I really like and gesture.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I wasn't that lucky. For me, it was always a new world with new aliens and new fucked up situations. So every time
you had like a time travel,
planet
hopping book. Nah,
I remember. Sorry to interrupt. But I remember explicitly asking to Rick, "Hey, can we have like one?" You know, a dimension that it's just white. There's nothing in there. And it's just the characters talking for a second. Just, you know, one issue, half issue, like 10 pages in this weird world with nothing in it. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah,
Nick.
I mean, but I don't like. It's a hard question to answer because I just think like me and Matteo are probably like we know we still have 15 more issues to go to wrap this up, and that's what we signed on for. So, and like again, we were getting paid. It's not like it was. Yeah. But like you do, it was always back then. I probably was a little more. Oh, the grass is greener. If I could go draw that, or I could write and draw this.
Yeah.
And then you can go and I did that, and I was like, man, you know, East to West was actually a really good gig. Like it was easier than writing and drawing for sure. Because Jonathan, I mean, and like with Scott, it's rad to draw a page and then have these guys put dialogue on top, and you're like, God damn! Like I'm like Scott elevated that scene. Like I didn't imagine he was going to write that. Like it's just like I'm like, how do you do this? John used to do it with East to West too, so. Man, maybe it just goes back to just good creative partnerships, you know, like creators you enjoy working with and you have each other's backs. I mean, that's probably all of it right there.
Also, psychologically, I think the fact that you've done so much before, like we're talking about already 30 issues, which is like 600 pages or more, 600 or 700 pages. You've done so much that now, you know, the end line is so, you know, you see it. And also you've done, you know, you have so much stuff that finally you're going to close and have, as you said, this big, you know, compendium, this big, huge thing of like more than 1,000 pages. So that helps. It's like, you know, when you run, I don't know, you have to run 50 miles and you're at mile like 40 and you're like, okay, only 10 to go. I mean, I've done 40, you know, I might as well,
you're conditioned
through the final, you know, 10.
But I mean, too, like, that's what's cool about comics, you know, the creators that have done long runs, long memorable runs. And, but I think story dictates too. Like I got a story, it's only 6 issues. To drag it on longer would probably hurt the story, you know? So, I'm kind of in awe of like like, you know, I don't like, man, Eric Larson, like writing and drawing his own book for so long. And then it's still like as insane as when he started it. And it's always kind of contemporary. Savage Dragon is awesome. I don't know how he does it. But like, I'm in awe of like, you know, Scott sees Absolute Batman already for like 24, 30 issues ahead. And is like, Nick, and then this, and then we'll see this here and keep readers interested because we'll plant this idea here. And then just like, that's awesome. I can't do that, dude. Like, so.
Yeah. So I was also, you were saying, if I have a story that's 6 issues, I'm going to do 6 issues. Like, that's another thing. It's a pretty new thing because I remember talking to Rick Remender when I was starting to write my own book, which I'm doing now. And he told me back then, we're talking about like 3 years ago, it was like, I would suggest you to expand the story so that it can be a longer, you know, thing, so that you can have that thing, you know, the 3 paperbacks, the 4 paperbacks, so that it start fitting itself. Yeah. And now I was talking to him pretty recently and he was like, you know what, things have changed. And now, like, just because generally speaking, he told me even practically, also retailers, if they see it's a miniseries, they wouldn't buy that many copies and stuff like that because people, they don't get, you know, too amped up about miniseries. And now things have changed. And Rick told me that the miniseries that he's doing with Giant Generator, his production house, his whole thing. The miniseries are selling way much more than they used to. So that's another, you know.
Well, when I did, I think you got when I did Ghost Cage, 3 issues, oversized. So 3 48 pagers that I knew would equal a trade when we were done. And then I also got to charge $5.99 a book. So like doubling what I normally would charge. And dude, issue 1 did 24,000 copies. So that's like right then, you know, then you're like close to $2 a book. Boom. Like, I'm like, okay, that's going to now pay for this whole series for me to do it.
Yeah.
You know, so like, yeah, I think but I didn't want to spend too much time on it. Like, cause I kind of did feel like, you know, comics, everything comes and goes. Like you work on a book and boom. It's not like, someone swooping in with their next big book, and you're like,
Right.
even if you have the spotlight, you know, like Absolute Batman, like now there's Hush 2, Jim Lee,
Right.
you know, like, so, but like, it's just like, you know, you got to stay motivated. And like, I'm like excited to be like, well, what we got coming up in Batman is going to be awesome. Yeah, I don't know. It's design on the fly, and you know, just get this shit done and move on to the next thing.
What made you there's a fill-in? What was it, one issue on Absolute Batman?
Yeah, because I can. So why the fill-ins? Is that what you're asking? Yeah.
Well, I'm just because you can maintain a schedule, but are you trying to take some time for you? Give yourself a little break?
I think the first issue went double-sized, went oversized. And I knew right from the jump, like, oh man, this is not going to help the schedule. But the story was the story. And like Scott was really animate, like I want to really do this story. And I was kind of like, well, we could cut it here and make it 20-pager, and then I could, you know, stay on. But he like designed the story too, that like each arc would have a flashback of a character we were focusing on. So it wouldn't interrupt, like I'm the main arc artist. Mm-hmm. And then, so in between the first arc and the second arc, which has Bane, which I'm working on now, Marcos Martin is going to do 2 issues. So it's like, I get these breaks in between arcs.
That's good.
And if I need it in an arc, like Scott has these kind of like flashback stories. So also even in the Bane arc, there's going to be like a Bane flashback story. And I don't think they've announced that artist yet, but yeah, these are all banger artists. And like, I mean, Gabriel Walta did a fill-in, incredible storyteller, artist, and then amazing. Marcos Martin, you know, so it's like, but yeah, I'm always on deadline, Shawn. So like I'm no Matteo, dude. I can't.
Believe me, I'm not as fast as I used to. Like right now, with family and everything,
that changes everything. I mean, when you have kids, that changes everything.
But like Matteo, I like to. I listen to the podcast, and I love when Shawn brings up like, I remember you drawing back in the day, and you were rushing through pages, and they all looked amazing. But like you were just like, no, I'm going to train myself to draw quickly and not like overanalyze. And that is such an important point. So like East to West, I did all digital, and a lot of people, I probably lost I know I did. I left a lot of money on the table. A lot of people wanted that art.
Yeah, that's another thing that I wanted to talk to you about, but go ahead.
So my art rep, Felix, was like, dude, if you're doing Batman, please do it on paper.
Yeah,
like,
you have. If
just
Batman,
do it on paper.
You have to.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a hurdle because digital is way faster. For me, like at least at that point,
it is.
So mentally, I had to kind of like get over that of like, because I would go thumbnail straight to finishes, and then I'm like, I gotta continue to work this way. So that's how I kind of like, I had to retrain myself to thumbnail, blow it up, and go right to finishes on the thumbnail. And I might do a quick loose pencil over top the thumb just to tighten it up.
Yeah.
But like to keep that spontaneity, and then also learn like, I'm never going to be one of these artists like Garcia Lopez or like even like a Matteo or an Andrew Robinson. Like this, you guys you're on a different level, like talent wise, like,
come on.
Well, I mean, come on, you know it. But there's just a certain finish that I feel like I'm kind of clunky with my finishes and my inks, but also like readers don't necessarily see all that. And like, I'm now of this mindset of like, dude, just make interesting comics, and good design trumps all. Like, I don't care what your level of drawing is. If you're thinking about the overall design, your storytelling, and your writer and you are in cahoots, and you've got, you know, the writer is giving you really good ideas, and then you're like up in that, and then he comes back on the script. Like, these are really about ideas, right? And interesting, make page turners. Like, that's it. And I don't think readers really care like how beautifully it's rendered or the finishes and all that. Like, so
especially, I mean, you just mentioned like Andrew Robinson. If it was that, only that, like just based on talent and the, you know, the perfection of the page, like he would have the most, you know, the greatest amount of fans, you know, in the world, but he doesn't, like, you know, there's everyone has their own taste, and there's probably people that don't like, you know, Andrew's pages, although I think is the most talented ever, but you know, they are more attracted to other kind of products. So
yeah, Andrew's like an artist.
I totally see what you're saying, you know.
Yeah, it's like I had to get out of my own head of like being like, I need the readers to accept like this is who I am. And then a big boon on that is getting to launch a book. Like one thing I found over my career is when you do a fill-in and follow someone, you're always judged against everyone that came before. Yeah. Like my second job in comics was the first fill-in on The Losers at Vertigo.
Yeah.
When following Jock, who was a beast. And at the time was like showing everyone what's up with like really graphic imagery, killer storytelling. And I came in with this like cartoony pit pen, working at size style. It was, I mean, you go look up these issues. It's bad. And dude, the reviewer was just wrote, "Hello, Nick Dragotta. Goodbye, Nick Dragotta."
Oh my god!
Like, it was
that was fucking mean.
No.
Welcome to the internet. You know, but like, dude. So, and that's one thing like I've learned too. Like, you're such an advantage when you launch the book. Do a number
and
one.
By the way, Nick,
or do a creator
that reviewer is yours. Surprise.
You know, and like in fairness to them, they weren't wrong. I mean, the stuff wasn't good. And Jock, like, of course, you open the book and you want Jock. So
yeah, you were expecting Jock, and I don't something else. Yeah,
dude, I don't. It's all good. I could take it.
Yeah, but again, it's not even there. It's not necessarily a matter of quality. Sometimes that. There's people that like the more gritty stuff, and then you give them something else, and they just don't like it because they're not used to that kind of flavor. Like it's like with food.
Totally.
You know?
Well, this was definitely a little matter of quality too. It's like my second.
Okay,
gig.
I was trying, Nick.
Yeah.
All right, you suck in that book. All right.
but Nick, but after that, you started like following Allred on a couple things, right?
Well, that was like the only work I got. So Marvel like what did we do? Okay, so I did an issue of Ecstatics. That was my very first job.
Dead Girl, right?
Peter Milligan. So I was part of that original Ecstatics. It was X-Force, then became Ecstatics, and I did a fill-in.
Great
then
book,
I went and did The Losers, and then I did the Dead Girl miniseries. And what's nice is like Mike Allred is like has always been really sweet to me. And like, I mean, can you imagine like your third job in comics? You have Mike Allred as your anchor. He loved my storytelling. So he was like, I like your storytelling and your construction's great. And I'll just do finishes on top of this. So like I became like, we did the Dead Girl mini, and then Mike started going back to Mad Men. But he was getting offered these cool Marvel gigs, but he was like, I don't have time. But if you get Dragotta to pencil it, I'll do it. And I believe, like, I think that's what Axel told me back then.
Right.
And so I got like, you know, everyone wants Mike Allred. So like Mike was getting all these gigs, and it was like a lot of short stories, like written by Stan Lee, you know, penciled by me, inks with, and these were really finishes. Like Mike was kind of, I wouldn't say redrawing, but like doing Mike Allred hair where I couldn't draw hair back then. And like, dude, I mean, I have so many nice Mike Allred boards. They're beautiful. He's incredible.
That's awesome.
So
awesome, man. But I wanted to go back a little bit on the, you know, the original, you know, working traditionally and everything. That's, you know, since before that we were talking about, you know, differences in working, you know, freelance or having your own book with Image. Like one thing that makes the difference if you decide to work freelance, if you're on big title, like, and you work traditionally, that could make up for the money you're not making, you know? That's
so true on
having
Batman.
your own book.
Yeah.
Because Potentially, if you have a big title like Batman, and you're the cover artist and interior artist, and you do a long run, let's say, 10 issues, 20 issues, 30 issues, you have so much, material to sell and covers and you can sell potentially the covers, you can sell them for even $10,000,
Yeah, I mean, you get an art rep like Felix, and dude, it's like I think he broke a modern art record for. Absolute Batman
it's insane.
issue
that
1
first
was
cover,
fucking nuts, Matteo.
That's insane.
The art sales. Yeah,
that's
I mean,
awesome,
people can look it up online for what the 2 covers went for, and then the whole issue. And Felix did a podcast about it, but yeah, and then it was for me, the original art sales are huge. Like it's the bulk of my income. And yeah, so like, I can't stress, like if a creator is working digitally and they're on like a hit book, they really should think about doing it on paper. And then for me, it was like a perfect storm. So there was not a lot of my original art out there because I had done East to West all digitally. And, I'm like kind of a pessimist. I'm like, no one wants my art, but, and then come to find out with Batman, Felix is like, dude, there's all these East to West fans that are coming to me and they're already offering like to buy the whole issue. And I'm like, what? Like people want to. So it was this perfect storm of not having any originals out there for over a decade. My earliest Marvel stuff I did on paper, but then my coolest, where I grew the most East to West, nothing, all digital. So I had like kind of a lot of East to West fans hankering to get some pages. Fucking Scott Snyder, biggest writer in comics, Batman, biggest character in comics. And then on top of that, Felix is one of the most incredible art reps. This dude has transformed modern comic art sales. Like there wasn't a big market for it, for a bit. And I feel like Felix and what he does has shown collectors, like, you don't have to go after these pages, like, all the classic creators. There's some new creators right now. There's a bunch of us. And this is, we're the creators now that you can jump in on this now and have these pieces. Right. And, dude, and then also like the people that are buying this art, like I've met them, they're awesome. Like they're totally like, they love this medium. They love the art. Like, it's not just like, oh, I'm just going to get this for an investment and flip it.
Right.
Like,
right.
These dudes they're fans. They're real fans and they love comics. And yeah, it's been awesome. But like Matteo, to your point, like, to talk to, and Shawn, to talk to artists, like both you guys work traditional, and I had to kind of not relearn, but go back to it and have that fear. Yeah. Man, just have no fear. Like I've learned, like, whiteout is my undo, like you can paste up, you can correct. And
for some people, they become even like me, for example. I like to collect. I'm not a big collector, but I like to buy stuff here and there. And I love when I see that. Like, I don't like the perfect page with stuff. I love when there's notes on the side. If I see, some whiteout, or if you have to, whatever you have to do, like a patch on the stuff, like I love it. There's a lot of people
I have some Jorge Safino pages, and they're literally like paintings.
As I was saying, I was imagining, because I own 3 of them.
Yeah, you feel the texture.
And one of them. Go ahead.
He just, you could just tell he's like whiting out, or, like just whiting out a whole panel and just drawing right over top, and does it again and again. And, it's like seeing people like you. And then I travel all over with Daniel Warren Johnson doing shows. You sit next to Dan and you're just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, this guy is ripping. I mean, and if he doesn't like it, he'll just pull out like some white paint and just cover it all up and just draw on top. Like, it's not precious. Like I used to, like Shawn,
Yeah.
I remember when we were young, dude, we were so precious. You still are. You're so meticulous with your lines and your finishes.
I can't help it.
You know? And like, I had to get over that and just be like, it's a monthly comic. And, like going back to like just good ideas, good storytelling. It's all that really matters. And then also there's a spontaneity and an energy to drawing like that too, that, is like, is worth it. So worth it. So,
yeah, you just reminded me when I was teaching, I would teach inking techniques. And there was a point in which I would start showing them stuff and do a lot of exercises with brushes and with nibs and stuff like that. And then at a certain point, I told them, okay, now you grab one of your pencils that you did last year and let's ink over them. All right. Mm-hmm. Don't worry, like whatever, all the stuff that they showed you, pick a technique, pick some stuff and try and experiment on them. And it was especially this girl, like a lot of them were scared about, ruining their pencils. And especially one of them, they're like, no, I can't. Like, you got to teach me some method where I can, do it on something else. And I was like, why? Like, you're going to do so many of them. If you want to do this as a job, like, you're going to bang out, a pencil every day. So it's not going to matter, in the future.
Yeah.
So no worries. Just think over it. If you want to, just make photocopies of it in case it gets ruined and you'll redraw it. She was like, no, I can't. And at a certain point, I remember I had like ink on my hand and I just smudged all over a page. And I told her, now it's ruined. It's too late. So you might as well start inking over it. It was the only way I could crack the case. Otherwise she wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Speaking of being precious. And also going back to Zafino, I have a page that I love that still has the, the dialogues, the balloons, but the paper, because they were glued over it.
Yeah, me
so
too.
The
and now they're all falling
turned
off of mine.
Oh yeah, one is folded, and the other ones are the paper turned yellowish, pinkish.
I have a few
and
of
I love
those,
it.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, me
man.
too. And it's interesting too, because I kind of understand what that girl's going through. Like there's like, when you put it down gesturally in a sketch, and you're just chasing to capture that in ink.
Yeah.
And that's where I've learned, like, all right, don't try and draw in the ink. And that's, I know this is like been said 1,000 times, but dude, it's so much harder to like really master it. And then you start thinking of Alex Toth, who like then could choose the one perfect fucking line, and like, that's where you start going like, how do you even then simplify that awesome gestural sketch and get the most out of that? Like, there's so many levels to this. And the first level is just like what we're talking about. Don't be precious. Just grip it, rip it, and grow. Like, start to grow to where you're not fearful of it. And then you can start refining. I don't know. It's weird because I went and taught at SCAD. I did it was a while ago, maybe a year ago. It was like a weekend. And all the kids draw on iPads now. And they're all like webtoons and not really, no one even knew who I was. Like, they don't read monthly comics. And don't get me wrong, they were all cool comic artists and storytellers. And by the end of it, I think they were like, oh, I'll go check out this guy's stuff. But it's interesting. Like, I think the medium's going in a different place, like the way people are working. I don't know how you draw on an iPad. Like, I can't. I mean, I think Shawn Alexander does, right? Like,
I think he does.
Yeah,
he does.
And I mean, I wouldn't know that stuff.
Jason's
incredible.
Figured it out. Yeah,
and he's recently lost a whole issue. Have you heard about that?
No.
He was debating internally. He's just quitting the book, and that's it. It was issue number 1. He completely lost it.
It was his creator-owned book. He lost the entire first issue
because it was on an iPad.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And he hadn't backed it up.
I mean, does Eric draw on an iPad too?
Eric's doing all iPad now too. Yeah. I
mean,
a lot of people
I wouldn't know. Like, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, so there are artists that are. Yeah. I don't know. I need to like move, and I like to. Now I'm all about ink and making a mess and all that.
Nick's back.
I mean, the shittiest thing about paper and ink is waiting for the shit to dry. It's just like, moving on to other pages, I guess. But it's fucking it up. You spend a lot of time fixing little things, smudges and shit. But yeah, it's all about those art sales, though. I mean, that's primarily
that's a market. I mean, that's another industry you're in.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna end the main portion of the podcast and go into the Patreon episode. So
Shawn, can I'm gonna let my dogs out real quick. So can you give me
just give me one sec. We're gonna say goodbye and then we'll go take a break. And
we're still recording. Gotcha.
Yeah. Before we go, we finish this part of the podcast. Nick, is there anything in particular you want to plug? Like you mentioned Felix, so whoever wants to buy your original art.
Yeah, Felix Comic Art.
Felix Comic Art.
Felix Comic Art at Instagram and his website, felixcomicart.com, if you're interested in any originals for Absolute Batman. And then straight up, man, Absolute Batman with Scott Snyder, myself, Frank Martin Jr. Like the next arc is Bane. And right now there's a 2-issue arc with Marcos Martin that I've read. It's fucking awesome. So I hope readers go and pick those up. And they're focusing on Absolute Mr. Freeze, and it's a new take and it's rad.
Oh, nice.
And then we're doing Bane, which has already like caused some controversy because they dropped my design. But believe me, readers have no idea like what they're in for. This Bane, it's don't judge a book by its cover. Let's just say that it's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Nick, Scott's got it's going to be trans gay Bane.
Nick, send me all your links and I'll put it in the description of the episode. All right, Matteo.
I mean, kind of off social media. I don't really get the time for it, and so it's not a big presence there. But I can't remember my lucky. Instagram. So
you're blessed.
Dragotta Art is
Dragotta Art. Yeah, there you go.
Handle.
Yeah, I always like, am I Nick Dragotta or Dragotta Art? Yeah, and then I'm on Blue Sky too, but not really on it, but on it. I'll promote stuff and all that.
All right, I'll apologize for what Matteo's about to do. All right, Matteo, do your thing.
Oh no.
Inkpulp Podcast.